Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Bobby. I hope you had a great weekend. It is absolutely beautiful here on Sunday afternoon, and I hope it's a wonderful Monday morning wherever you are. I want to talk about matching up your shoulder turn to your setup. And in doing so, I want to remind you of something I've talked about before, and that is that the golf swing is always a blending of shallowing and steepening influences. That's what we're always doing. We golf instructors are always blending those two things, shallowing and steepening influence. What does that mean? Well, that means that I'm trying desperately to get this golf club to hit the golf ball squarely, powerfully, and land it in the back of the ball. And I want the crosshairs of that golf swing to always match up with the golf ball. That probably is something we all know. Well, if I have a swing that's just shallowing, just shallow, purely shallow, I can't hit the ball. I'm going to miss it on top. I've got a merry-go-round swing. It's not going to work. I'm going to miss above the ball. Well, the same goes if I have just a steep swing. If it's straight up and down, that's not going to hit the ball either. I'm going to drive it right into the ground. And so as long as they make golf clubs that are built like this, and as long as we're standing beside the ball on a tilted plane, and as long as human toes stick out in front, then the golf club has to be swung to some degree up and to some degree around. It has to be a blending. Okay, so there's that. Well, then you start to realize when you really get into that just about every move you make either adds a steepening quality or a shallowing quality. And let me give you an example. And this has to do with how your setup affects the much needed shoulder turn, the compatible part as the shoulder turn goes. If I am the type who prefers to lean a little bit left, that is a steepening move. That is going to, if everything else is neutral, I just added steepness to my swing. My swing is going to be more up and down if I tend to be a little bit left-sided. Well, that's perfectly fine, because what I'm going to do is if I have a steepening setup, then I'm going to use a shallowing shoulder turn. And that means that my focus is going to be on getting my left shoulder laterally to the right across my body on the takeaway. And that will shallow out what was otherwise a steep setup. Okay, so let me say that again. The compatible part to a left-sided swing is one in which you feel like your shoulder goes across your body on the backswing. Now, if it's the other way, if you're the type who really likes to set up behind the golf ball, well, if you set up behind the golf ball, you don't want that shallow takeaway because now you're way off the golf ball. What you want instead is a steepening move to your shoulder, a steepening quality to your shoulder turn. And so I'm back here now. Instead of thinking about moving the shoulder across, I'm going to move the shoulder down. In fact, I'm going to try to scrunch up the left side of my body, take that left shoulder right toward that left hip. And at least it'll feel that way to me. And that will take the shallow out of the otherwise shallow setup. And so let me say that again. You can't be just steep, and you can't add steep to steep, and you can't be just shallow, and you don't want to add shallow to shallow. If you have a steep setup, that is left-sided, then you need a shallower takeaway. If you have a shallow setup, then you need a steep takeaway, and I know that will help you just simply match up your shoulder turn to whatever your setup is, and I'll look forward to finding out how it goes, and I'll see you next week.